My name is Euzhan Palcy, writer, director, producer, activist, and humanitarian. I realized at a very young age a few important things. A nation or any people who has no knowledge of its culture and history, no control of its stories, its images, is powerless, pitiful, and simply doomed to extinction. I realize how crucial it is to see yourself on the screen, to know who you are, where you came from, what you look like. I decided to be a filmmaker, to use my camera, my miraculous weapon, as I like to say, to put a stop to that history of humiliation and absence. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." All my adult life, I have been fighting injustice and for authentic on-screen presence for women and Black people in Europe, in the United States, the Caribbean, and Africa. I went undercover to capture real-life footage of the horrors of apartheid South Africa for a dry white season. And to name a few others, Sugarcane Alley, Rue Casse-Nègre, the coming of age of a 10-year-old boy on a Caribbean sugarcane plantation in the 30s, and the struggle of his warrior grandmother to get him an education. Ruby Bridges, the courageous battle and the resilience of a 6-year-old girl to break down the barriers of discrimination in 1960 America. The Killing Yard, the untold aftermath story about the 1971 Attica prison uprising. I came to Hollywood in the 1980s and was taken under the tutelage and the generosity of the legendary Robert Redford. I since have had success in making mainstream movies, but when it came to Blacks and telling our stories, I was either dismissed or asked to whitewash the truth. Female directors were far and few between. And as Black and female, I was a proverbial unicorn. We were not respected or paid our worth. I was virtually fighting the sexism and racism in Hollywood by myself. So I left to help in furthering the education and filmmaking aspirations of underserved communities in Europe, Africa, and the Caribbean, hoping and praying that Hollywood will someday get it. The hashtag #MeToo and Time's Up movements have been instrumental in exposing women being abused sexually, financially, professionally, and otherwise in corporate life, and have given me some hope that things are changing for women and people of color in the entertainment industry. Like the rest of the world, I was and still am devastated with the senseless killing of George Floyd. Brother George's murder, which brought the grim memory of the brutal slaughter of 14-year-old Emmett Till, was a tipping point that exposed the countless murders and brutality of Black brothers and sisters by law enforcement in the US and the world. His killing and the Black Lives Matter movement have sent a chilling shockwave globally, the likes that has not been seen since 1960s America. Former enslaved and colonized Black people everywhere, along with Latins, whites, and Asian allies, are now empowered to speak up and take practical steps to eradicate the roots of enslavement and colonization. My fight, my conviction are rooted in the truth and in the making of the so-called impossible possible. Because of this, the first undertaking of Jump and Fly is the Africans at Home and Abroad project. Hashtag African at Home and Abroad. The purpose of AHAA, hashtag AHAA, is to address and rectify the systemic and institutionalized racism caused by enslavement and colonization in Africa and the diaspora. We plan to accomplish this through direct involvement and also by partnering with local organizations that support education, health, including but not limited to medical, psychological, nutrition, and medical equipment and supplies, housing, and criminal justice. I look forward to your support and thank you in advance for joining me to this journey for equality.